champions coming out. We've seen the Kog'Maw, we've seen the Senna. They really buff up a lot of even junglers and top side soul laners that we have in this meta right now. So they're going to take that one away from the side of BLG. I think it would also be interesting to give it over to ppgod with how we highlighted. He actually does position on them like he does on like Leona, but not going to see that. BLG instead going to opt in towards taking the Udyr. The Lee Sin was the other obvious choice coming up. Whenever Lee Sin is open, whether it's blue or red, he is always taken on first rotation. And now we get to see where LGD wants to go with this, because you know, Munchables is out there in chat dreading the Senna Karma, but here we are going straight towards the Ezreal for Kramer. And this is one of the picks where it is a lot harder to make those mistakes in mid to late game. We have still seen it, but we'll have a pretty decent time in the laning phase, and we should expect to see him massively perform on the damage charts. Now I wonder where you go here. You can pick up the Gwen. That is something that's been left open, and you highlighted that Garvey has looked phenomenal on, and he's going to lock it in.
Okay. He's had some phenomenal moments. I will also say that, you know, I don't want to be that blind caster that's like, only the positives. Garvey did actually grief and press E into the middle of 5 people too, so I'm curious as to how this is going to go. You know, we have that dichotomy of good versus evil here for Garvey's Gwen.
To be fair, that can happen and does happen on any champion, right? That's not a Gwen
Hey,
specific
Kramer did it on
so.
Ezreal, you know, twice. Yep. So both of these champions for LGD have had, again, to use that word, the dichotomy of good and evil. Lyric, LeBlanc. That just came out of left field.
I mean, it never comes out of left field when Zeka is on the Rift. Sometimes, you know, when I'm not casting him in chat, I'll see people be like, oh, LeBlanc here. Why are they picking LeBlanc? But this is Zeka's champion. This is Zeka's signature pick.
Good point.
He feels so much comfort on this. We've seen him have great moments on this pick, this split so far, as well as, you know, 2020 when he did start coming into the league. So gonna bring this one out. It does make it... I think it's a bit rough playing LeBlanc into like Gwen Karma, because not only do you have like the shields coming out, the mantra E's for the whole team, Gwen just having so much survivability from her passive, from the hollowed mist. So yeah, it could be a bit rough, but will have opportunities to find his way onto Kramer, or, you know, maybe even into the mid lane matchup, which isn't going to be blind now. So Xiye will get his pick of the litter of what he wants to play into this LeBlanc.
Okay, let's find out at the very least. Twisted Fate Viego already banned away. Not going to give away the 2 Season 11 champions. I like the Lulu ban here, even though ppgod, you know, hasn't been the greatest recently. Still a champion that could try and buff up for the potential of, you know, something like a Cog Lulu lane we've seen with a lot of priorities. So now that that's kind of gone, Lyric, walk me through a little bit what you expect of BLG. They're probably going to pick this before you get to answer.
I was actually expecting them to take the Thresh before the hyper carry, but regardless, that is what you would expect. So, you know, they leave the Thresh open. That will give you windows to find hooks onto the Ezreal or Karma in that lane. It opens up the Jinx, opens up the Aphelios, opens up the Kog'Maw as well, even though we haven't seen it with the Thresh as of yet.
Okay, last pick there for the AD then. LGD on the other side. How do they round this composition out? Well, already got the Karma, already got the Ezreal. Very safe lane here. You give yourself a Xiye Sett mid, and if Shadow does this, I mean, I'll be asking you a lot of questions about how this composition runs. We do need a jungler, so with no Rumble, with no Viego there, with no Nocturne, Lee Sin taken away, Udyr taken away, we go down the pool quite a bit.
I mean, still, it still equals out to what is pretty much a poke comp, right? Karma, okay. Ezreal, and Nidalee. You have your front liner in the set, and then you have a champion like Gwen, who could either just come in on flanks or can come in. Even if you just run forward, throw down your Hollowed Mist and make it hard for a champion like Jinx to be able to affect you in the team fight in any way, I think it's good what LGD have brought out, because now shielding from Karma, you have heals coming out from Nidalee, you have what is pretty much an off tank and how much sustain and durability she has in Gwen, and then a true tank in the mid lane. So this game, I think, is going to be very hard to navigate for Zeka, especially when you're playing an assassin and you don't actually have that many targets that you will be able to burst out. But I think more like playing over range, a bit more poke coming out from the side of LGD. For BLG, I think this is more of a pick comp early on. You're hoping to combo with the Lee Sin and, the Udyr and LeBlanc. But still, finding picks on Xiye is going to be incredibly hard with how durable he is. And you should also have push in this mid lane for the set. And later on, we are transitioning into hope that aiming can find the positioning, can have the peel coming in from his teammates to navigate through these front to backs.
Okay, sounds really difficult then. I'll keep pick comp in mind at least, or like pick potential for the early game coming through. But you're right. You know, hard to find targets here for the LeBlanc, for Zeka's LeBlanc. Something that in the past, he has done that Hex Tech Gunblade. Let's be realistic. That's not happening again anyway.
That was tech you bring out versus Kassadin. It makes a lot of sense, but... Ooh. Yep, not probably 100%. Definitely, obviously not going to see that here because that item is
yeah.
Logo. Yeah.
Lyric.
Nice, Hysterics, nice.
Moving forward. I mean, I was just double checking because I'm like, I'm pretty sure that item's not the game, but I'm like, yeah, of course it's not the game. It's Gonski's. You know, one of the recent evolutions coming through, much like ZZ Rock Portal, which I'm still sad about. But hey, moving forward, ladies and gentlemen, going into game number 2, LGD showed us prominence, showed us prowess. What else starts with P?
Power.
Pickles. Going into game 2, okay. LGD are going to have all the pickles running into this one. You
don't even use that word. You call them gherkins.
I do call them They are called gherkins. Oh, no, hang on. A pickle is like a McDonald's, you get pickles on your burger. Even though it's kind of the same thing. I don't know. It's context. Context matters. You get them in a jar, that's a gherkin. Important stuff.
I don't think they're different, but, you know, gherkins are delicious as we get here on the Rift, and we're going to see Garvey already going for that what he was hoping would be aggressive trade by Eing in. That is now on cooldown, so BiuBiu feeling a bit better about going for this one, but instantly eats the spear.
Oh, good.
And it is interesting that, you know, when you said, hey, Lyric, describe these comps that, right, even though I think overall there are thematic identities to them, they both do have other things thrown in. Like, sure, we do have the Nidalee Ezreal Karma poke with a frontline in the set in front of it, but Gwen adding another dimension to the comp and just how oppressive she could be in 1v1s and side lanes, but especially the way she wants to play team fights later on. And then BLG, where you have Thresh, Udyr, and a hyper carry and Jinx, so you think front-to-back team fight, they want to peel, but then you also have these pick champions like Lee Sin and LeBlanc that want to look for angles to catch people in transition or make those brush plays or come in off a flank. So feels like both compositions having a few possible areas and possible ways to approach fights later on.
And I'll be curious to see what happens in the early laning phase. Already Kramer and Amy battling it out against each other with Mark and ppgod kind of affiliating with that as well, excuse me. But junglers as well, this feels like a game where jungle is going to be heavily scrutinized, considering that if the lanes go either way for either team, right, it might not matter as much about these compositions when they can be so volatile in this second game.
Definitely, and we're seeing here in the mid matchup that Zeka is able to get control over the wave early on. Ranged against melee champion, it's going to happen. You're really waiting for Xiye to hit that level 3 mark where he can look to start aggressively trading back, even taking the fleet footwork in this matchup to survive that early onslaught coming in. Both junglers pathing around bottom side. Ooh. When you do have something like a Karma, as Garvey getting dangerously low.
He has to back. I mean, he's taking Ghost up here, so no Ignite, which is kind of a rarity, right? That we've pretty much seen on any...
We have seen Ghost and Barrier come in, definitely for different situations, but Hysterics, it looks like we might get a fight, so take it away.
ppgod, well, he flashes on in, and I'm going to take it right to the bank here as the flay into the hook, into the trap. ppgod gets first blood. Kramer has to back away. And it was nicely done there from ppgod to lead the charge.
Nice job by ppgod and WeiWei, right? Shadow showing on that ward or wave bot. They spot him out. He isn't able to get the gank off. WeiWei waiting for the window where he backs off right into the play coming out from ppgod. At least Shadow will be able to get both Scuttle Crabs in return. But this is the BLG that we know of. You know, that jungle support synergy coming out to find these opportunities.
Yeah, finally, right? Also on the other note of what we saw on screen, remember, ladies and gentlemen, EU junglers do missed quite a lot of spears, so it was only a matter of time before Shadow, you know, showed his true colors here. So up towards the top side, he secures the Scuttle Crab, but is actually getting ganked. WeiWei has just sprinted on in. Hallowed Mist will not save him from a Lee Sin and an Udyr. Stunned up, running away, TP coming in, but Garvey's dead thanks to the Tempest. That teleport from Xiye, here's the 1v2, and as the Sett at this point, I mean, he needs them together. ppgod's even moved up as well. LGD's early game is not going too well. It's like a hole in a handbasket at this point. ppgod with the flay, the Thresh helping get another kill as BiuBiu flashes away. Shadows in as well, and Lyric, it's suddenly 3-0.
And I'm really surprised that, you know, okay, sure, you've already dedicated the TP and hoping that Garvey would have been able to survive. But once they're kiting out your initial TP, right, as BiuBiu and WeiWei, you're just waiting for your cooldowns to come back up, and then you can re-engage. Sure, it helps that ppgod is there, but I don't think Xiye would have been able to take that 1v2 regardless. He was buying time for Shadows. You watched the minimap, he was, you know, making his way up there, but Xiye, I think, hoping for a little bit too much coming out, and this is the kind of start that, you know, you kind of needed and you love to see coming out for BLG, where it's like, hey, the Udyr's ahead, the Lee Sin's been ahead topside in this matchup. Zeka is going to have a lot of freedom now that Xiye doesn't have either his flash or TP available. So double TP advantage going on the side of BLG. You can force a lot of things on the map. You know, something like an early dragon is something that would be nice to see if they can get those waves into a good position, as it looks like BiuBiu is trying to force his in right now.
He's trying to reset for the time being. CS advantage, just want to take a note here that Garvey has actually got a small CS lead, all things considered, but yeah, that kill's going to be quite large. WeiWei and ppgod now roaming around the bottom side together. ppgod has already made 2 contributions to this game, one in his own lane, one in the top side. It's a Predator Thresh Lyric. We've seen this a couple of times, and I love it, man. You know, you just start getting roaming so early in the game, and it's hard to expect a Thresh sprinting at you at 5 minutes in.
Yeah, and it's something where I wonder if it's gotten a win yet, because at least in the one game I did cast of it, it did not look impactful at all. It lost lane early game, wasn't able to get out on the map and be impactful, and then you felt pretty useless, right? It's almost like you don't have a keystone, but
yep.
ppgod so far putting it to good use. BLG are going to contest this dragon. We need to remember,
Xiye
does have TP.
Okay, he gets the face breaker in as well. Kramer comes over the wall, pokes him down. Dragon is the cost here as ppgod burst it down as well. LGD with 2 kills as Zeka moves back towards mid lane, has to distort
but Garvey
away.
got solo killed.
Oh my god, BiuBiu on Lee Sin. Take it right back. That dragon now, bit more worth.
So I'm going to speculate what happened. I'm sure maybe we'll get a replay of the longer sequence of the fact that, right, BiuBiu had teleport, but I'm guessing Garvey went in for the aggressive trade to stop any play like that being able to happen. And, you know, with the fact that Garvey went in probably in an unfavorable situation to make sure that BiuBiu stays in the lane, it opens up that solo kill scenario coming out from BiuBiu.
She has to be careful. We'll have a look at the replay when it comes up. I'm sure it will, Lyric. I was just worried about Xiye through this mid lane, even with Shadow nearby. WeiWei sprinting at him over a ward. TP's coming in. Look at the speed. The Peepo run man is absolutely menacing. And BiuBiu threatening over the wall. Blue buff reset. Sonic Wave dodged away. But now this could just be WeiWei's.
I think BLG are going to back off, right? Because, you know, ppgod's still showing on wave bot to where both Kramer and Mark reset, so you know high chance Mark's going to be running down that mid lane, can make his way up first. So in the end, BLG decide not to contest that blue buff and back off. We're going to get a replay of the solo kill. The fight starts, and actually it's BiuBiu who engages right as he's about to hit level 6. He looks for it. Ooh, nice kick out of the hollowed mist as well. Garvey does a 4 stack, so it looks like BiuBiu's probably waiting for some of his cooldowns to come back up. There's the safeguard, and he hits the E for the kill.
But nicely done. I mean, 2-0 now, the pickaxe picked up, and we've seen many Lee Sins in the top lane, aka Breathe. Absolutely destroyed the laning phase once they get ahead, so hopefully it can be done here. While LGD started the Rift Herald Lyric, WeiWei's on top of Garvey, the TP in from Zeka. He's in so much trouble. The Gwen over the wall, and cuteness not going to save you out of this one. But hang on, needlework. Dude, this champion bought so much time. BLG on the wrong side of the map. ppgod coming in, but Kramer in as well. WeiWei's trying to run out of this situation. Javelin toss dodged away. He's trying to get the execute. And if he runs far enough, he will get it. As Mark's chasing still. Kramer here wants to get the E. And he got it. And, well, at the end of the day, Aiming's just going to trade his life for plating. So I don't think BLG actually lost that much.
No, BLG, I mean, especially this Jinx, man. Almost 3 plates, massively ahead. Looks like Mark's trapping around, though. They want to try and punish this.
Okay, Mark flashes forward. Aiming doesn't have his own flash. Yeah, he has heal, but not worth burning at this point. Mark, unfortunately, picks up the kill, but the bottom lane somehow of LGD are the people that we need to start talking about because they're the ones who are getting something for LGD.
Remember, this is a story of BLG in a lot of their games so far. It's like, hey, some picks in the early game, it's looking good, it's coming together, and then a few faulty decisions across the map is where it starts to give the enemy team an avenue back into this game. You already highlighted Garvey on the top side. I mean, that's just Gwen in a nutshell, right? The sustain, the durability, the slows coming out with the needlework to even buy more time. Sure, some abilities were missed, like Zeka did miss his chain, but Garvey buying enough time, which let that collapse from LGD happen.
Oh, Xiye, face breaker doesn't connect, and here comes WeiWei again. The Haymaker shield, great, but I think he's doomed here. Phoenix as well, flashes back to take WeiWei in. Whoa, Xiye, cheeky little play. Shadow lands a spear. That turns right on its head.
Yeah, nice job coming in from Xiye to understand his limits and to know to look for that, right? Even timed perfectly with the fact that Kramer's back at base, so you can throw down that Arcane Barrage for more damage. Nidalee's there. But we panned back to bot lane, and aiming once again, just coming to this ATM that is the LGD bottom turret.
Yeah, there's no fees for the withdrawal either, so you feel pretty good sticking with the bait for now. LGD Shadow on the top side, this is his response. Herald gets picked up, and maybe he can equalize one of these solo lanes or just try and push Kramer further ahead. Lyric, I think at this point in the game, you might try and give Garvey some gold. Is that a right assumption here if you're Shadow?
I think that's what I would like to see, especially for the fact that their bottom lane has been pretty much just pushed under their turret the whole time. But with the fact that Shadow's pathing towards mid, you would expect maybe linking up with your mid laner, going towards bottom lane and giving those plates over to Kramer. But look at your mini-map. We see WeiWei and Zeka aggressively posturing around the enemy red buff, and Mark might be caught out.
Oh, yeah, he is. He doesn't have flash. He's in the middle of so many people. Shadow trying to assist him. They want to get the support as quick as possible, and Amy gets it with the Super Mega Death Rocket. Xiye with a great face breaker. Haymaker down Undertaker. Onto Xiye in the backline. You can see Zeka doing a lot of damage, but Kramer has taken away WeiWei, who was left without a prayer. Xiye running for his life while the rest of BLG are coming on in here. Onto Kramer. Zeka wants to find him, but even without shielding, he's fine for now. And, yeah, okay. What just happened?
Yeah, goes W's in. Instantly has to flash out because Zeka realized, hey, I actually can't go aggressive on this either. But going 1-for-1, nice use of TP advantage coming out from the side of LGD. BiuBiu actually had to walk all the way down from top lane. And Xiye is deleted.
Yeah, I mean, LeBlanc versus the Fed Lee Sin. Probably not staying for that wave would have been the right call, but okay. Good pick here for BLG and a 3-0 Lee Sin. You know, Flash was worth at the end, even though it's two different plays.
And now we're going to see BLG open up the Dragon, but LGD does have members here. Xiye, though, is still dead, so this actually would be a numbers advantage fight for the side of BLG, but they don't feel confident in taking it.
This is a game. Here comes TP onto Shadow's trap. That's Xiye rejoining the fight. Garvey, remember, doesn't have his, so burning the TP to get the second dragon of the game. It is an Infernal. Herald goes down to the Fed bottom lane, and remember that Kramer got the kill on the last play as well. So it is a 3-0-2 Ezreal versus a 3-0-1 Lee Sin. And Kramer on his Ezreal having a good game. He's having a good series here, Lyrics, so there's going to be a carrying force, especially when he gets that Divine Thunder or when he gets that Manamune as well. That's coming soon.
And also picking up a ton of plates here. Xiye as well, hovering around, getting himself some gold, and they're posturing like they want to go for the fight.
They want to dive here. Now, Xiye doesn't get anything off. True Shot Barrage, as well as Zeka pushing himself right into Xiye.
Nice spear.
And the spear connecting as well. A lot of burst damage there. BiuBiu up towards the top side, pushing as a response. And Lyric, while bot stops, BiuBiu does not.
Yeah, BiuBiu getting gold in top, but you look in mid lane, Garvey's actually pushing out that wave, but huge boon of gold for BiuBiu. Now also gonna be able to take the first turret of the game. Garvey's making his way over. Does have all of his abilities up, but BiuBiu should be able to get away before Garvey's actually able to get to this lane, so nothing really should be able to happen, but that's a nice bit of gold for the side of BLG, now 2.4k up.
Yep, first Star of Blood comes through, and BiuBiu is Gigafed. So let's see who can carry the team harder. He's 2,000 gold over Garvey at this point, making Gwen look balanced. And I think more importantly as well, Kramer, even in gold, even after the 3 kills, because aiming got so much solo turret plating. We saw it down the bottom side many times, and I think that's a big difference to look at, and why BLG are almost 3,000 gold ahead at 14 minutes into the game.
And the big thing we're going to be looking at for the side of BLG is if Aiming is able to get his resets right, because with Xiye and Garvey standing in front of team fights, you know, maybe training with a rocket, you brought Gale Force out, somehow being able to get a kill or assist so you can get those is what I think BLG are really going to need coming into mid-game team fights to take those. If not, I still really like what LGD have put together, but
yep,
both Aiming and BiuBiu are definitely going to be scary as time rolls on. And even though Zeka doesn't have any kills yet, just his threat and the way he can threaten over walls, you know, distort over, throw the chain out, it's still going to put pressure on a lot of members of LGD. It's just going to be more in those front-to-back team fights where I think LGD can thrive, because for BLG, their windows for engage are very narrow. It's hook, it's flank from Lee Sin into kick, or, you know, WeiWei or ppgod flashing forward.
I think what I'm interested about as we see the poke war continue is, now that we've got 2 side lane turrets down, what happens for BLG and how can they use the pressure of this solo laner to start playing angles or start putting... Go for it.
Can BiuBiu find a kick?
That's my question exactly. BiuBiu in the grush, level 11 here. They bonk each other. Garvey has been Sonic Wave, but no resonating strike, and BiuBiu backs away. His flanking angle was good, but Garvey spotting him out was even better. So, Lyric, I come back to the question here while nothing's happening. Turrets are down, and I want to know how BLG can best use this to their advantage.
For BLG, their comp, I think, can more proficiently find picks and sides, because we see that BiuBiu is very far ahead, right? So he's going to be able to continue up his pressure. For Zeka, sure, maybe it's not always about looking for 1v1s with Xiye, but as you see, you can just throw your distortion on the wave, push that one out very quickly. And I wouldn't be surprised if this is a combination that could very well execute those double side lane plays, where it's like, you know, the 0-3-2, send both LeBlanc and BiuBiu to one side, try to pick off Garvey and turn that into something. So we want to see BLG using the fact that they have pressure on sides to find picks, which they are doing on the top side.
Like this, they brought ppgod in. The Predators used immediately with mobility boots. Garvey once again caught out. Needlework not going to save the day. ppgod picks up his 2nd kill in this game. And let's be fair, he deserves it. His Thresh has been great to watch.
And LGD going to try to answer in the mid lane, just going to be able to get some damage down because both members of BLG are already on their way over here. And the Predator from ppgod is just so menacing for Kramer and Mark, instantly backing off. But we see the other members from LGD on the bottom side of the map, which is allowing BiuBiu to once again get another free turret.
Yeah, by himself, man. I mean, this Lee Sin pick is destroying LGD's hopes of making this a 2-0 at this point, and with all the pressure, enables WeiWei to get a Rift Herald, and with that top lane turret down, I mean, that threat, that lack of vision control is only going to increase. Something you talked about as well, the pick potential coming through as we see TP in the bottom lane, is the fact that when these turrets go down, vision can encroach in the enemy jungle. You can suffocate out LGD, and that's what's happened in the top side where Garvey can push away, but then he has to be cautious. He has to worry, especially if BLG are not currently on the map.
And this goes back to what you said earlier, right? Of, you know, Garvey has shown some good moments on Gwen. He's also shown some not so very not good. Yeah, some you know, some okay-ish moments, and
Okay.
yeah, this one definitely not up there, but BLG going to use this Rift Herald in the mid lane, so once again going to open up another turret and Dragons up as well, so LGD going to have to react to this. You would expect for BLG just to turn and go take away that Drake.
And there's Garvey on top of Zeka for now. You can see with the Dragon up, it's all a BLG down the bottom lane, apart from Zeka here. Garvey looking for the solo kill. Needlework is out. He thought he was going left, but Zeka goes right. It is snip time on the minions while he worries that his prey got away. Teleport available for Zeka as well, Lyric here. So unfortunate that Garvey couldn't get the kill.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it also comes down to, once again, we come onto screen, Zeka misses another chain. So, you know, had he not missed a chain, I feel like Zeka probably doesn't even have to burn flash there, can just distort away and is just fine. But once that ability misses, Garvey knows, hey, I'm going to go for this. I can at very least force out a summoner, and he's also able to respond with a turret. So still 3k gold, but LGD are finding ways to answer on the map.
They are opening up the top wave as well. That is a very long lane at the moment too. Shadow was, every time I'm going to say this, shadowing him. The Nidalee 30 CS ahead right now of WeiWei. CS lead up in the top side for the Lee Sin. Mid pretty even, which is a compliment to Xiye here in this game, excuse me. But bottom lane as well, look, aiming might not look like it, but he's keeping up in items. He's in fact an item ahead. When gold comes back on our screens for our individual players, just remember, he got all the plating. So aiming is still in a really good position with Gale Force and now the rapid fire cannon to keep it range in these fights.
Yeah, adapting with the rapid fire because of how extended range a lot of these fights will be. Also the fact of, you know, like trying to watch out for people like Xiye or Garvey getting right on top of him. And this is going to allow them to get control of mid wave, turn into the enemy jungle, control vision like they're doing now. And yeah, I don't expect that their comp should be able to force any kind of early Baron, but who knows if they have the confidence in trying to bait out a fight. But I don't think that would be very favorable for the side of BLG, because LGD just have so much poke they can throw at you in small areas. It looks like more of they're just going to control vision in the jungle, have Zeka wander around there, BiuBiu on one side, and look for picks when you're taking your camps.
I like the Zeka angle. He distortions in, baits in Xiye with the stride breaker as well, and backs right out. True shot barrage on the half-elf LeBlanc, and LGD will manage to defend because Zeka is low, because nothing nets out of the play. Xiye able to clear out some wards as well. Zeka backing away once again, and LGD trying to force the play onto aiming. Stride breaker used once again. Xiye closing the gap, forcing the flash out of aiming. It's not everything, but it's definitely something.
Yeah, you'll take that 100%. We do have Dragon up in 3 minutes, so that will be a summoner that aiming doesn't have. So if you can find a way onto that AD carry, actually BiuBiu got on the guard.
Shadow's here, and BiuBiu's taking the spear. Needlework time. The sewing class has only just begun as WeiWei joins on in, but he didn't book in for the sewing class, and Garvey's got too many people to worry about. No one's paying the bills, and all of a sudden, there is not enough wool to sew with. Xiye comes on in, fake breaker against the wall, brings the fight back. Oh my god, Xiye onto WeiWei now. Can he do anything more? It's 4 versus 1. Zap connects, and BLG still win the fight. I'm just impressed that Xiye is still alive, but not for much longer.
And I mean, that just opens up such a big lead for the side of BLG. BiuBiu looking like he was initially getting picked off, but all of BLG rotated so quickly. TP coming out from Zeka, WeiWei making his way over, and then instantly you can just, I bet if you were watching player cams, the look on LGD's faces just turned grim. Nothing they could do in that scenario. Like you said, Xiye doing his best to bring it back, but so many key members of your team have already gone down, as we're gonna see here. BiuBiu getting aggressed on by Garvey and Shadow. Shadow doesn't have the spear, but look at the mini-map. Thresh, Udyr, Jinx already making their way over. LeBlanc TP coming in. You take the plant, Jinx rocket thrown in there as well. Shadow instantly goes down. Garvey's going to be followed up on as well. And now there's just such a big numbers advantage where you're able to force out Kramer's flash. They just keep channeling in, and nice face breaker into an ultimate to get off some massive damage. But still, a 5v3 is a 5v3 at the end of the day, where this Jinx was just left untouched and reset city, baby.
Yeah, aiming is just doing so much damage again. The early plating is really coming back to fight LGD as it's pick time once again, and Garvey at the forefront, Shadow going golden thanks to his stopwatch he picked up, but that's now gone. Perfect timing no longer. Pick keeps coming here, and Lyric, Zeka's starting to use this LeBlanc better and better. Looks like BLG have a really firm grasp on how they want to play this mid game.
Yeah, BLG playing extremely aggressive, taking a lot of opportunities to punish the moves coming out from LGD. LGD realizing, hey, we can't really compete in them with pushing out those sides. They're just going to group as a 5-man, try and layer down this poke, and maybe hope for a window where they can find and engage.
ppgod showstop it into the back line. Xiye, though, absorbing the damage once again, aiming untouched. Kramer goes down first, and Garvey in the middle of it all. Needlework is nothing as a super mega death rocket hits Xiye like a cork running out of a bottle. BLG again, 2 big picks, and now it's Baron time.
So as of now, it looks like BLG will be able to keep up their streak of every series going to 3 games. This will be their 3rd series to go to 3 games if they do win this one. So, you know, that's a good sign for them. The thing for LGD is we have seen them come back from bigger deficits, actually, so I don't really want to cross anything off from being possible, but this game looks solely in favor of BLG. We've seen Zeka, WeiWei, and BiuBiu so coordinated with jumping into that last fight, and aiming is left untouched every time. Aiming didn't even need flash. Aiming was fine. ppgod has had some good lanterns as well. And we're gonna see here, it's LGD looking for this because they saw a Lee Sin show on bot. He gets the engage, but sure, you got it onto ppgod. Once again, watch aiming. He's dishing out free damage the whole time. You see BiuBiu, WeiWei, and Zeka all able to jump in onto the other side of the fight. And there just isn't too much that LGD can do.
Great flanking angle from BiuBiu once again. I love the LeBlanc, the Lee Sin. They're playing it at angles where LGD always have to look over their shoulder, and a lot of the times here when they're in their own jungle, BLG have vision. BLG has snuffed out the vision control that LGD had defensively, and are finding, again, those crucial angles that set up for an easy pick. BLG now moving to Soul Point as well. Baron buff in hand for 2 minutes, as you can see in the top right of your screen. And we're going to find out how they can use it as Zeka on Shadow. Ooh, he's starting to hurt a little bit more each time. And at 25 minutes, Lyric, 8k gold lead just about. And damage is a lot, you can see from Shadow, but Zeka pops it right back.
Yeah, I mean, that was, you know, aiming, wanting to get damage on the turret. ppgod trying to play that defensive angle of playing Lantern for him. Did get bursted down pretty low. Is already back up to full HP, though, with the amount he's been able to auto-attack and lifesteal back up. And I like what BLG are doing. Just keep having BiuBiu force in these minions spot. Have Zeka play transition and catch people out who are looking to roam between bot or mid to catch them off guard. And just have aiming do all the work in the mid lane.
I mean, he's taking no damage. BiuBiu just can't be hurt at this point, and Garvey not doing enough of it. Zeka walks out. It's a LeBlanc with no armor, no MR, jumping into the fight. No one's hurting her right now, apart from someone like Shadow. You could even say Kramer. And BLG, as they walk towards the base, inhibitor turret already dropped in the mid lane. Bottom about to drop thanks to BiuBiu's Baron wave. 2 exposed inhibitors, while Xiye's out of the base for now, and Zeka and BiuBiu are just raid bosses.
Yeah, they're just absolutely insane, and BiuBiu just keeps weaving in and out of these spikes. BiuBiu got Death Sentence.
Shadow's dead after using the Zodya's Hourglass. The timing perfect from ppgod. Good to see him back in action here on the Thresh as 4 versus 5 in front of the inhibitor. Baron's still there, Lyric. I think they're trying to end.
Yeah, and they should be able to. Zeka gonna go in for these picks, and aiming can just keep free hitting on these turrets. Looks like LGD might potentially force him to back off.
It'll work. Still doesn't do too much damage here. They clear the wave onto BiuBiu, trying to find the right target, but it's not going to be enough here. BLG still sticking around. Baron up for 1 more wave's worth.
Yeah, and I want to see if BLG can find anything. Zeka's still hovering around over the wall. Doesn't want to show himself if he can just pop himself over, get a ton of damage out instantly without the enemy team realizing or being able to retaliate. Also want to highlight that we see WeiWei picking up the buffed Abyssal Mask. Not an item we see too much of, but you look at LGD's composition, right? So AP heavy. It, of course, did get more health, and the duration of the passive, where if you can immobilize someone, they take more damage, got extended, and the amount of damage also got buffed up. So a lot of good things coming out from this item when you are against AP heavy comps, and you do have a reliable way to CC someone.
Yep. I mean, it also looks cooler. I think it has like another part to it. Used to only have like a left ear or something like that, but you know, that's definitely worth something. Teleport coming in from BiuBiu though. LGD, their mid laner may have been caught out. Good play. Ignite down as well. Zeka wants to chase this, but helped out by the Shirelias of Mark, who has been on super defensive duty this game. BLG want 1 more inhibitor turret, and the only one left is top.
And they're doing their best to hold, right? They're throwing out all their poke. They have been hitting some members. Nice Lantern in from ppgod. Mark not able to find the engage.
Okay, Zeka misses the binding, though, is coming up. LGD grouping as a 5. Xiye frontlining for now, but no one walks into the Haymaker. Kramer, Arcane shifting forward. He's got a pretty bad habit of that, but at this point, what can you do with your LGD? Garvey trying to snip Jinx, but she's got a gun, and gun beats scissors.
And we have our new 3-game series team keeping that streak going. BLG bringing us to a game 3. Exceptional performance overall, especially coming out from members like BiuBiu and aiming.
It's a good game 3, folks, after we've seen BLG slap them down, both pre-30-minute games. And BLG looking to take this one the distance again. It's exciting because BiuBiu had a better time. Zeka had a better time. This time around, WeiWei was able to keep up, and that's what I said at the start of the day.
I think WeiWei had a great game.
He did. He did. He really did, and it's the WeiWei we used to see.
Yeah, WeiWei. I felt like WeiWei and BiuBiu were really the ones setting up a lot of how the early game panned out for BLG to be this good. And then when we got to the mid game, with the fact that aiming was just left the whole time, bot, just farming gold off that turret. We get there and it's like, okay, we have these two very strong facilitators, good flankers, good damage dealers, and then aiming is so far ahead as well, despite the fact that I think CS was even and he didn't have any kills. He was actually up in item over Kramer on the opposite side. And then you watch the team fights, it's like, sure, even if BiuBiu, Zeka, and WeiWei weren't doing so much work, if ppgod wasn't hitting those death sentences, they never had a way onto aiming, ever. So
they didn't.
For BLG, they found the fights that they needed. They got gold on their prime carries by pulling LGD to opposite sides of the map early on, and it was a massive boon for them.
It was, and I think what we've learned from this as well is the fact that, in both games, I think aiming was fine, right? Even in game one, what could you do when you're that far behind? Aiming's kind of a result of the team. That aiming is kind of that constant that, if you're in a decent position, aiming can help you carry. Aiming's a great team fighting AD carry. It's what we saw at the start of 2021 spring, where, do you remember we were chatting and it was BLG first 2 weeks. We then went on the, sorry, not the COVID break, but the, I believe it was Chinese New Year. And as BLG came back, they were a little bit worse for wear. It was even before Chinese New Year, excuse me.
You're making me realize that's the other BLG curse, right? They always look their best at the start of the split.
Oh, no.
And then from there is typically when it goes all downhill. So hopefully we're not, helping bring the juju of the curse back to BLG. But
no bad juju.
I think pretty expected damage numbers across the board. The 3 carries popping off, WeiWei and ppgod doing what they needed, and they were in control of this game almost the whole time. They did get the early lead. We saw LGD almost bring it back, but then especially those picks around side lanes are what allowed BLG to just close out that game, especially when we saw Garvey and Shadow trying to pick off BiuBiu, and then instantly every member of BLG rolls in. LGD just went down and had no answers afterwards.
And we got to see Zeka's LeBlanc in the process. I mean, kind of exciting when Zeka's LeBlanc has been something that we talked about. You even mentioned in pick and bans. Like, doesn't matter what he's going up against. Zeka's LeBlanc will be played.
He's now 2-0.
He's 2-0. What more can you ask for than stats? I think the biggest thing was, even though the laning phase wasn't like, oh my god, he's solo killing left, right, and center. In the fights, he was still doing his work. He was still zoning out. He was part of the problem that LGD had to deal with.
And I mean, right, he took control of the matchup early on. Clearly a matchup he knew. Sure, Xiye didn't really fall behind, but I also think that is kind of a byproduct of the matchup. He did still force him back quite often and have a lot of good roam timers where he was able to find influence on the map or in skirmishes. And you can see how comfortable he is on the champion once it gets to mid game, of how he's playing in the enemy jungle and around vision. Even when the team is taking inhibs or turrets, he's not showing with them. He's playing a step back. So if they get overconfident, if they don't think he's there, or if someone's coming from a different lane, he is always able to surprise you with a ton of burst damage and pick you off. So Zeka on the LeBlanc, extremely proficient. It's one of the reasons why, even if they pick it up when it doesn't fit a draft, it's something that he just feels extreme comfort on.
Yeah, it is. And I think I've been really hype on Zeka in the past, so I'm excited to see him play well in this second game, and even in the first game, honestly. I think Zeka was one of the best performing members